See, don't stress. This is total chaos, and we love
Oh,
it.
absolute
Like,
realness. We don't put on airs
no.
here at the Peaceful Shifts.
I was about to say, I apologize if you guys hear noises because my neighbour's in a band and I think that he's playing guitar above me right now.
It'll probably cause my birds to start screaming, because that's usually what happens. Welcome to the podcast by
Hi.
Peaceful Shifts. We've got Shelly here today and our special guest, the Witching.Kitchen, Lauren. I've been so excited about this episode
Me too.
because, here's the thing about kitchen witchery. It's like if I don't follow that path, but of all the paths that I don't follow, I know probably the most about that one just because I was raised that way,
Hmm.
you know, by that granny witch, that cook.
Hmm.
So tell us about yourself, Lauren.
So I am Witching.Kitchen, or well, as I know known on TikTok, or just Lauren, as you guys know me. I've been practicing witchcraft for just over 6 years. I started practicing in like April 2019.
Mhm.
So I'm still a little bit of a baby. However, over the years I have started to learn more stuff. Yeah, I tend to dabble in many things. Kitchen witchcraft is something that I'm very passionate about. I don't share a huge amount of my practice. That isn't about that. However, I have like sort of been feeling a pull lately to be a little bit more transparent. I feel like now in my practice is a time where I can start to talk a little bit more about my stuff.
Well, and here's how I feel about my practice. There's a lot I don't share too. But if I think that someone could get, if it's a positive thing, it's going to better their life.
Yeah.
If hey, try this, do this for 3 weeks and tell me what happens. Okay, I'm going to share that. I'm going to share that. Shelly, do you practice at all?
I mean, I'm big into the rocks and the stones. Um, I believe in energy. I wouldn't
Mhm.
I wouldn't say witchcraft so much that I would everything I do pretty much is intention and manifestation. Like that's really kind of like what I on my daily. Like that's what I'm
Mhm.
practicing daily. And
Mhm.
I don't necessarily have like a, oh, this is what I'm practicing. I just do it.
Mhm.
So it's not, I mean, I have my one of my coworkers sits next to me and she walks around with rocks in her pocket now. I mean, like, so
Mhm.
I
I
love that.
feel like I love that, because I'm like,
And
okay,
if we
hey, I pass
don't
it
want to
down.
call it witchcraft, we don't have to.
Right. And like I've never claimed anything because I don't know, I just believe there's
Here,
energy, and you can play with it. You can manipulate it, and
yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. And
How
I
much does
see
intention
ghosts
play?
sometimes.
How
So
much in Lauren in your kitchen, in kitchen witchery, not necessarily yours, but in kitchen witchery? How much of a role does intention play in that practice?
Um, I would say that when it comes to kitchen witchcraft, like most other forms of magic, there's different ways that people use intention in their craft. Um, I mean, some people are more intense with it than others. I feel like it just depends on what type of practitioner they are. So, for example, some people will be more ritualistic and they will use sigils, invocations, all that stuff. Um, you can use the correspondences of herbs, of plants, of food. So it's pretty much very similar to other forms of witchcraft, except, of course, you're cooking a meal and ingesting it.
Right. Explain the importance of that.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
Because that's an important part of that practice.
It is. So it's what differentiates. See, when I think about that word, I can't say it properly.
Oh, I probably couldn't either.
It's what differentiates. It doesn't matter. I just carry on. That type of witchcraft from other forms of witchcraft. Um, I think when people think of witchcraft, not many people think of eating as a
Right,
form of witchcraft, which makes
right.
it unique. They don't think about cooking meals as spell crafting, when really, when you think of it, it's just like putting a spell together to put in a jar, except afterwards you're ingesting it.
You are the jar.
I am the jar, yes.
Exactly, exactly.
I'm the candle.
And I noticed something in your sourdough videos, okay? So, because you love your starter, like
Oh yeah,
and what I love
that's
about
a
that,
new
like
hobby of mine.
yeah, like and I'm not I haven't quite gotten to that part yet, but I want to someday. I'm more of like a I want to make challah where the Jewish bread where you braid it and you do those things.
Oh,
There's
I did braided bread one year, yeah.
but what's beautiful about that in what you're doing in kitchen witchery is it's all about it's very similar even in the religion side of the house because it it's intention and you're doing it for a reason, you know, I mean there's reasons and there's like almost a ritual in that within like doing sourdough,
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
that's
I mean
like
it's just
24 hours.
Well,
I
yeah,
find it
because you're
fascinating.
nurturing and you've gotta take care of this living thing.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's a big difference with kitchen witchcraft as well. Like when you look at how people cook a meal, when people do a spell, it tends to be more quick sometimes. With kitchen witchcraft, sometimes you don't have that option. So
Mhm,
if I was to make, I
mhm.
don't know, cinnamon rolls for abundance, I would have to make that from scratch. And then I have to do the thing where I'm using the sourdough starter, um, making the rolls, and then leaving that for a certain amount of hours.
Right.
And that can become tricky because you're supposed to stay in this headspace while you're spell casting. And in
Mhm.
kitchen witchcraft, sometimes that can be like, okay, this is getting a lot now. Now I feel like I need to take a nap.
Yeah. Well, and if you're not living alone, how many distractions do you have? How many things are pulling you away,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah. Thankfully, I live alone, which is a blessing and a curse because the good thing about that is I don't have many distractions. I mean, obviously,
Yeah,
I have my own medical issues, so I'm in a lot.
yeah.
But also, it's sort of a curse as well because I don't have anyone to cook for.
Oh, except
So
for
I'm
you.
like, yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, because that's my dream. I just want to cook for everyone.
You know, you can always cook for neighbors.
Yes,
Hmm.
I really want to make loaves of sour bread
I
and
mean,
just
who doesn't want some pretty little girl showing up their house with a fresh loaf of bread? Sign me up.
Right.
my friends were joking about this the other day.
I mean, yay. So, okay, so obviously, like any form of witchcraft, there's going to be branches and people, individual practices and things like that.
Yes,
But in the foundational framework of kitchen witchery, do you deal with deities, spirits, ancestors, anything like that in that practice?
again, it's very much depends on the witch. Some witches are
Okay.
secular, some
Yeah.
witches are just animistic. Me personally, I have a very strong rooted ancestral practice, and I work with other spirits. Well, I don't really
I'm sorry.
talk.
Can you hear that?
What? I didn't hear it, I guess.
You can't hear this in the background?
No.
Mm-mm.
Okay, good. My neighbors are cutting their grass all of a sudden, and where I'm sitting, I'm like, son of a biscuit. I
Oh
apologize.
no,
Go
you're
ahead.
No,
good.
you're good. You're
So
fine.
we got to edit that out.
I probably won't.
Do you want me to start the question again?
No, I'm back to the
What
ancestral.
was the question again?
Sorry, I didn't want that to be overtaking.
So
Okay.
I work with my
Fine.
ancestors and I work with other spirits. The other spirits is, well, that's very something I don't talk about.
Yeah.
Um,
And that's fine. Yeah, that would be individual depending on the way.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like So I used to think that I was pagan. I used to think that I kept like sort of flip-flopping between Celtic paganism, Norse
Mhm.
paganism, other
Mhm.
forms of paganism, and I was like, or just other forms of spirituality, and I was like, I can't work out what I want to do. And then a few years ago, I decided to learn about my ancestors.
Mhm.
Um, and I was like, okay, it makes sense now. This is why I'm drawn to that.
Mm.
And then I really started to like, I was like, okay, well, actually, I can do all of these things. I don't have to call it paganism. I can do it as a way of venerating my ancestors.
It's
And
all words
everything
and
sort of
labels.
made sense.
It's all words and labels.
Yeah, it all made sense to me. And
Mhm.
practicing kitchen witchcraft, like as someone who has a very strong ancestor based practice,
Mhm.
makes me feel really close to them because of how
It's
well when you think
organic.
of
Yeah.
yeah, when you think of like,
Mhm.
you know, I have Norse ancestors, and when you think of like the inventions that Norse people made and like how forward thinking they are when it came to food and
Resourceful.
agriculture, and like they
Mhm.
created the plow, and like they're amazing at farming and food. Like they were way
Mhm.
beyond their time. And then it's the same with the Celts. And then I also think about like in the UK, like the alewives.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
they were the first brewers and they were pinned
Mhm.
as being witches.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. See
Yeah.
that what we lost. What we lost. You know.
Yeah. And also my Celtic ancestor, like my Cornish ancestors and other
Uh huh.
Celtic ancestors were all farmers.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it all makes sense now. Now I know why I'm doing this. Because when I first started my practice, I was sort of like, I wasn't online for a few years, and I
Yeah.
was like, every influence around me was Wicca, like very strict Wicca. And I was like, I don't know what I'm practicing. I thought that I wasn't practicing witchcraft for some reason.
And then you've
And
got
then I was,
10,000 people trying to tell you what you're doing or that
Mhm.
you're doing it wrong or
I know,
whatever.
but at the same time, I was sort of like, when I came online, it was sort of like a aha moment because I realized that there's actually a name for what I'm practicing, and that what I'm practicing is witchcraft.
And here's the thing. And if you don't want to call it witchcraft, then don't.
Yeah,
The fact of the matter is, every person that walks on this planet is capable of practicing magic, period.
Mhm.
End
yeah,
of story. Thank you for coming. You know what I mean? I mean,
thank you for having me.
you can call it what you want to call it. You can not call it what you want to call it. You can completely ignore it. It doesn't change. And
Mhm.
just because you ignore it doesn't mean you're not capable of performing magic.
So here I go back to because I'm on this quest to believe that religion and witchcraft and energy work is all the same thing. Okay, like I nobody wants to believe because you have people who believe that it's bad energy. It's bad to do these things, right?
Yeah,
And I just lost where I was going with that. But
There's number one, Lauren.
it's all right. I'm gonna do that about 20 times.
no, but like there's I just lost it. I will get it back again.
Well, I'll say what I was thinking when you were to at least as far as you got. See, I don't religion I separate because religion is a
Oh, came back.
okay, go ahead.
The Pope.
What?
Hear me out. Hear me out. You have all of is it the cardinals, right? The cardinals.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, and here's me. I was raised Catholic, and I just know there's white smoke when it's the time is near. So here we go. So hear me out. They all go behind these closed doors. I don't remember what the name's called because I'm not a good Catholic. But
It's a conclave.
thank you, thank you. So they all go in these behind these closed. We don't know what's happening. We don't
No,
know,
they could be in there watching football games and eating nachos.
but they're not. What if
How do you
they're
know?
Well, I mean, I would hope that these holy people are doing something way better than
Well,
that,
we can all sit and hope a lot of things, but we've all been proven how that goes. Don't
right? Right?
just say it.
I mean, it just makes you wonder, like, they're doing these ritualistic things, right? It goes back to all the same thing. It's all the
Oh,
same thing.
well,
I know it took me a while to get there, but
the Catholics, I tell everybody that the Catholics were the first Christian witches.
absolutely.
Oh
Every
yeah.
every king had, I mean, this Pope, that was uh, what did they call him? The Magi? What
Mm,
was that role before the, but that was the king's holy man
mhm.
until it grew into its own monster. But that holy man was a practicing magician or a practicing, yeah. I mean, I've got grimoires from popes on my hard drive.
Yeah, when I look at the Catholics and I see like them with all their, was it the Three Kings incense going down the aisle with the candles and like the whole thing,
Count the pentacles in the room.
I'm like, and you're talking shit about witchcraft?
Right.
But see, that all stems back to that.
It's all the same.
We've got to take over. We can't have you thinking for yourself.
The control.
You need to serve this God that we're going to bastardize and turn into whatever agenda we want it to be. And that's what happened. But then what's detrimental is because of that distortion, so much of the practice distorted with it.
Yeah, I do agree that there is. I mean, this is my personal belief. You can, well, if you have a different opinion, that's okay. My opinion is that religion, so like spiritual practice and witchcraft, they're both different, but they can go hand in hand.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So
they can.
witchcraft is a different thing to spirit, like spirit work. But saying that they can both work together, like what I was just saying about my ancestors, like when it comes to kitchen witchcraft and like what I use in my practice, I actually have a very animistic approach to that, which is where I believe that every individual item has its own energy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's, that's quantum metaphysics teaches us that that is exactly right. It's exactly right. Everything vibrates, everything has its own frequency, everything has its own energy.
Yeah. So I very much believe.
Yeah.
So, would you bring home antiques if somebody like I will not bring home antiques from
Hmm.
like an antique store if
Hmm.
it wasn't from somebody that I know.
Hmm.
I know that's weird, that's just a thing, but
I've left antique stores before because
so
it's
have
like,
I.
okay, nope.
Mhm. I've looked at houses before and I've felt that
Yeah.
energy residual
Hmm.
and like something bad happened here, like,
Hmm.
or this just wasn't a good space. Like, do you have those feelings too? Like, I'm assuming you do, because that's just kind of like a knowing.
Yeah, I mean, I do sort of have an intuition for that stuff. However, I'm like someone who likes to get secondhand things.
Oh, I
So
do
I'm like,
too.
yeah, just
But
keep it out of
there's
it.
things I haven't got. Yeah. Yeah.
Excuse my French, by the way.
Oh, that's okay. We fucking don't care.
Yeah, we totally fucking don't care. We give
So
zero fucks.
tell us how. Okay, everybody's familiar with the traditional attain, the wand. Here's my wand, for instance. Your wand can be anything. This is my wand.
Ooh, that's gorgeous.
And I mean my tame's over there. And I mean, my tools are everywhere because I practice. Um, do you turn your wooden spoon could be your wand? You could enchant, you could consecrate your kitchen utensils to do
Oh,
work.
absolutely. Like, I don't know, some witches have a cauldron. I have a Le Creuset pot.
A
I have
crock
a
pot even.
Yeah, a crock pot, a
Yeah,
Dutch oven, a wooden spoon.
yeah.
People have certain utensils that they'll use for different things. They'll sort of enchant them with different things, and they'll
And,
use them depending on what type
this
of spell they're
brings
doing.
me back to my grandmother. Where's my blue spoon? I can't find my blue spoon. And we'll frantically go through the kitchen for the blue spoon. You have a drawer full of spoons. Why do you need the blue spoon?
Oh, everyone needs a specific spoon.
You know what I'm saying? And as a kid, but as I've grown I was like, okay, I get it now.
Yeah, I mean, I have a specific plate that I'll use for certain kinds of spells.
Right?
It's a plate that I've had since childhood, and if it's something that I'm doing for comfort or relaxation or for
Oh,
nostalgia,
yeah.
I will use that plate.
Yeah. So here is one of the things I think sets this practice apart from the others. And that is this work usually always has meaning.
Mhm.
Okay. It's not, I'm trying to find, I don't know if this is the right way to explain it, but I can make you a juju bag, to keep you from getting a flat tire. I'm
Yeah.
not going to do kitchen witchery for that. I'm going to do kitchen witchery for the health, the love, the abundance.
Mhm.
And I'm going to use things that have brought that into my life. Okay. Because I want to spread that energy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Am I,
Mhm.
am I, that would be just, that's the kind of,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't claim to be a kitchen witch, but that's the kind of thing I do.
That 100% makes sense. I mean, if I'm completely honest, my favorite tool that I use is my hands.
Oh,
Uh,
yes. Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
I a lot of it's like this is controversial. When I'm doing a cooking ritual, I mean, if I'm cooking for other people, I'll always let them know beforehand. I like to touch everything with my hands. Everything goes through my hands. Obviously, I keep them clean. I wash them a lot when I'm cooking.
Sure.
Um, but if I'm using specific herbs or I'm using specific foods that have the intention that I'll touch them. And I like to almost feel connected to what I'm using. I like to almost feel like I'm drawing in what's around me, so drawing in the energy around me, but
Hmm.
also connecting to the food and connecting to it and letting it know. This sounds really cheesy. Letting it know what I want to use it for.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, yeah. Makes
It's
yeah,
perfect.
showing gratitude,
Well, that's
really.
what I was gonna say, I process animals for food, and it's always really important that, the short time they're here, they get the best life, I treat them the best I'm able, that they are dispatched humanely, and when I go to cook them, I always give thanks to
Mhm.
them.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm the same way because I sort of have this animistic belief where I believe that everything has an energy, that's sort of like everything has a spirit, everything's alive. So when
Mhm.
whatever I'm using, I'm like sort of like, sometimes I will use prayers when I do my um witchcraft, and
Mhm.
I thanks for everything that I'm using. And I
Yeah.
think that that differs a lot from like other religions, because other religions it's sort of like you're thanking someone else for the food. And I
Yeah.
feel like it's the same thing, except I'm thanking the food
Yes.
itself.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So what do you do about things you have to buy at the store?
I like so I forage where I can. Obviously, that's not always
Right.
possible, and also, things aren't available year round.
Right.
Um, and I also like to shop locally. However, we're very fortunate in the UK, we have a lot of fresh produce available. So I try and get fresh produce where I can. Um,
Do you
but if
not
not,
buy meat from the
oh
store?
yeah, oh yeah,
Do
I
you?
buy meat from the store. I'm sort of being in this practice has sort of made me more mindful when I buy meat and stuff about checking labels and checking how it was raised, and
How is it processed? And yeah.
which in today's economy is very can be very expensive.
Unless you can buy from the guy down the street. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Or
mean,
have it processed for yourself.
I
yeah,
mean,
we have a local butcher here, which is
how
Mhm.
much are eggs there?
I
Seven
do not want to
dollars.
trigger you.
$7 here.
They cost
Yesterday I
about
looked.
like they cost about £2.50 here, which is about $5.
Ye
Four
Is that
$4
are you
something.
is it that much of them? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
There were $7 here when I was at the store yesterday.
They are
Or
at my Walmart.
I was at
What
Deerworks.
size though? What are you getting though, maybe?
Uh, Eggland's Best large,
Well, there you go.
but
That's
I
the one.
didn't buy them.
But
I
they
don't have I
they
don't have to.
still
I had
should cost
girls
$7.
next door, the hens,
Well, something is all of a sudden eating my eggs.
and I have terrible news, but my rooster and his his wife and mistress are gone.
Oh,
They're gonna come back with like 13 chicks.
No,
Oh, you
I found
found
part
one?
of the mistress.
That stinks.
oh no, I'm really sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
I'm really bummed. I'm like, the rooster is the one that really bothers me because we hatched him and
Yeah.
I watched him hatch, and so I've seen his whole life cycle and I can't find him now. So that's a
That's
sad thing about how it's micro farming here in the States.
yeah.
The survival of the fittest in a subdivision. I'm not even kidding you. We have
Yeah.
hawks and coyotes and
When my nan was in France, she had chickens and they all got caught by foxes.
Yeah.
we have a fox issue here too, and raccoons during the day.
Yeah.
That's a new thing recently.
Raccoons are getting pretty brazen. All right, back on task. Back on task.
Yes, yes.
So do you how do or do you even not you, but the practice like moon phases and like the weather and
Ooh, I like this subject.
Me
yeah,
too.
because I've got yeah, go ahead.
So, um, one thing that I love to do, I love practicing planetary magic.
Uh-huh.
So, if I wanted to do a spell for, I don't know, if I wanted to create boundaries, or actually, no, say I wanted to like banish something, I would look at where the planets are, I'd look at where Mars is, when would be the appropriate time to do this spell,
Mhm.
and then
Right. Right.
find the timing, do the correct timing. So, I'd get the correct materials. So if I wanted to do something for banishing, I could do like nettles, black pepper,
Mhm.
bell
Oh
pepper.
yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of one more. Ginger.
Yeah.
And then I would, yeah, make a devil's claw soup during those timings, or well, devil claw is just a fancy name for nettles.
Yeah.
So I'd make like a soup or a stew using those ingredients.
Well, and that would be on this end of the stick of kitchen witchery, but then we go to this, you I don't know if you have what is the name of the book?
Almanac.
Farmer's
I was
Almanac.
about to talk about that, yes.
Yeah. Planting during
Mhm.
particular moon phases. You don't Shelley's heard me say it, you don't make bread when it's raining.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting me know.
Yeah, you
Um,
don't. You can't. Yeah, it won't work. It won't come out right.
Now,
so
you just totally made me realize why something didn't work. Okay. And remember, I had to throw it away in the CVS trash can. Remember?
Yeah. So tell us, how does that work? Give us.
So almanacs are really fantastic, especially when it comes to food, because it
Mhm,
tells you what's in season at what month and what's growing, like what are the farmers
mhm,
harvesting. So for example, this month, I believe baby potatoes and tomatoes.
mhm.
And also when it comes, like, you can buy foraging almanacs as well, or you can buy like
Right.
local foraging guides and it can tell you what to forage on what month. So
Yeah.
this month, at the end of the month, elderflowers are going to start growing.
Yeah.
And what was the other big one? Obviously, we had dandelions at the beginning of the month,
Mhm.
and they're starting to go out a bit now. Um, what was the other big one that I wanted to forage? That's it. Wild
Mhm.
garlic in season right now as well.
Yeah. I
Um,
am lucky to have I own basically what amounts to 6 city lots, okay? And it is unbelievable what I have growing on it. Unbelievable. And I always leave the outskirts. I don't let him clear those out because that's where I go and get my rose hips and I get my, honeysuckle and I get my, oh, what is the other? It's pig, not pig's ear. What is, anyway, sorry. See, I don't, my
no, you're
memory.
good.
I
I've
can
My
look it
memory.
up.
I
Well,
think
yeah, I can look it up. It always comes up first. It always comes up. Missouri wheat you can eat. And I'm
Now,
eating. I'm never gonna starve.
do you go foraging and do like mushrooms and things like that ever?
I have only just got to the point where I've started to learn to forage mushrooms. It's something that I'm very wary about because you can really hurt
Yes.
yourself because there's
I
so much
always
when
worry.
yeah, like
Hmm.
mushroom foraging is so like it's the trickier kind of foraging.
You
Like
really
so
have a bad day if you miss.
like there's so many things that look similar to each other. I'm just like
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
for the last like few years I've just been like, oh well, I'll
I
wait
can't
for
believe it
turkey
didn't come
tail
up.
because there's like turkey tail species that aren't edible, but all the lookalikes aren't toxic, so I'll be fine.
I can
But
tell you
Lamb's quarter.
when you find one that's really bad, like that's bad and it's a poison one, you know it. Like you know off like right as you cut into it, you know it.
Really?
Hmm. It looks different. It looks hollow on the inside. It's strange.
Huh. Lamb's quarter is what I wanted. That's what I have growing all over. That's got more nutrients in it than spinach.
ooh,
I
nice.
pick it and dry it and use it like parsley in when I cook.
Yeah, I use nettles like that.
I do too. I do too. Stinging nettles. Yeah. Yeah. I use stinging nettles for a lot of things. Yeah.
Nettles is something that I've always got to hand.
Would you
Yeah.
use honeysuckle for something?
I do.
Um, I don't think I've used honeysuckle in my
Do you have it prevalent? She may not
well,
have it prevalent.
no, I don't think I do.
Send
Yeah.
it. I'll send it to you because I have so much of
It's probably invasive because it's sure the heck invasive here.
it.
I
My subdivision's name,
Yeah.
Honeysuckle Hills.
That's
It
cute.
really will take over if you're not careful. If you're not careful. Purslane, that's another one. Do you have purslane over there?
I
I don't
don't
know
think
what that is.
I do.
See, and here we go. This brings up a great question or a great, your practice would depend on where you live.
Yeah, and this is another thing that I was about to say with the almanacs as well. Like if you're buying farmers almanacs or if you're buying
Mhm.
foraging almanacs, you have to make sure that they're local because obviously where you go is going to be different stuff.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
like the honey.
Yeah. Honey, I'm real particular about my honey.
I love
Hmm.
honey.
I love bees.
Me too.
I wish I could keep bees. I always wanted to keep bees, but I physically couldn't be able to do that now.
Me either. I'm allergic.
Oh,
Oh dear. Yeah, no, that
Well,
probably is the best way.
that won't work.
well, I mean, I was. I'm allergic to wasps more now, but
Yeah. See, here goes my
bees.
bird.
Oh,
I
okay.
love it.
They sound wonderful.
Yeah, it's somebody's cell phone. So, how would one give me an example of how you could, just a person living alone, basically just be blessing yourself, just ingesting blessings every day? Emotional healing, physical healing.
Oh, what do you mean? Like how I'd keep myself clean to keep myself.
Well, if you were going to, here's, I'm a believer that if I'm going to be witching, I'm going to be witching for me
Oh yeah.
before I'm witching for you. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Why am I going to take this power and this magic and do it for other people? You figure out your own magic. My magic is for me to bring abundance and happiness and healing and blah 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 blah. So, as a somebody who's like, you know, I can cook. I have all these things. They're a complete. They don't even want to title themselves as a kitchen witch, but what are just basic things they can do to bring positivity into their life through food,
I
through
mean,
the kitchen?
I'm not going to be one of these people. Like, if someone can't cook, I'm not going to be one of these people who says, "Oh, well, you can't use a microwave. Oh, yeah, you can't use your frozen meals." I'm like one of these people that are like, "Is it edible? Yeah, it's edible. Well, you can use it. Figure out
Right.
what's in that meal, figure
Mm.
out what it's used for, and take notes." I
Right.
mean, a great piece of advice I'd get to for people just. Sorry, I lost my train of thought because my neighbour's walking above my head.
Well, I think what
If you
this
hear me
made
get tongue twisted, it's because I'm
that's
losing
okay.
my train of
What that
thought.
made me think of though was this whole ideology of you can't do it that way. I think
Oh,
I think practices are fluid. And here is my perfect example of that. The OGs, and we were talking about this before we started recording, before Shelly even got here. The ancient Germanic practitioners, the OGs, okay?
the OGs.
At one time, all they had was fires to work with.
Yeah.
Everything they had a fire. And then one day, the Iron Age appeared, and they said, "Look at these big pots. You can do all this with these big pots." Now, how many of those practitioners went, "I'm not using one of those big pots. We're going to build a fire like we've always built a
This
fire."
is a fantastic point. This is an amazing point. It's like saying that just because something's new and it's not been used in the past, people are then going, well, that means you can't use it now.
That's right.
You want to use your crock pot, sweetie? Light that sucker up.
Listen, if you want to eat something for emotional healing, like cook yourself a frozen pineapple and ham pizza.
What's your favorite thing?
I
But here's
love
the
that.
thing. Do I think it is important though, and wouldn't you agree, Lauren, that certain foods have certain energies
Yeah.
Mhm.
and you kind of have to learn, the ones that are going to do what you want it to do, because I could eat a whole pint of ice cream and still feel like crap because that's not the energy I needed. So it's not about just eating something good. It's
No.
about what is this food going to put, what energy is in it.
I have some advice
Yeah.
um for people just starting out. So one thing, and this is mundane as well, think about when you're eating food, how does it make you feel? What does it make you think about?
Be mindful of it.
Because
Yeah.
yeah, there's a form of witchcraft and a lot of people don't talk about it. It's called energy sensing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and
And
mindfulness. Yeah.
yeah, a lot of practitioners will use that where they'll use it in a different way. They'll like pick up the plant and then they'll be like, how does this feel? How does it make me feel? Because
Right.
obviously, as you're saying, a lot of us, we do it for ourselves.
Yeah. And you
Um,
want to resonate.
yeah. And another
Mhm.
thing that I was going to say is when you first start out is maybe once a day, maybe even just a couple times a week, if you cook something or if you, um, I don't know, if you eat something, maybe just take time to like research what you're eating and
Mhm.
oh, what's this used for medicinally? What's this used for in witchcraft?
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and yeah, just keep a notebook or a note on your phone, and yeah, eventually you start to learn what everything's used for. You could
How
also,
im-
oh,
how important do you think it is to keep, if you were going to say, okay, I'm going to start practicing you're going to label yourself as a kitchen witch, so that we're going to, a practitioner. How
Yeah,
important is it to keep your kitchen like a sacred space?
it is, to me, it is very important. To me, I mean, you see this in the Bible. But
Okay,
it's
yeah.
true. It's true.
Mhm,
Um, for me, being physically clean is close to being spiritually clean. It's the same thing.
mhm.
Mhm.
Like being spiritually and physically clean carries a
Yeah,
certain energy which things that are negative don't like.
yeah,
So
Mhm.
that's incredibly important to me.
yeah. So I guess here's what I always say. Do you have to do it? No. Will
No.
your magic be better if you do? Yes.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, like,
Mhm.
I'm not
Mhm.
saying, like, if people have physical limitate, I'm not, like, saying people have to, you know, not everything has to be, like, just do it to, like, the best of your ability. But,
Of course. And take it as far as you want it. That's your that is the wonderful thing about having a practice. It's your practice. Take it as far as you want to take it.
yeah, and I'm very much, like, I'm very much into spiritual cleaning, so I like smoke cleaning, sound
Me
cleaning.
too. Me too.
Some witches like bells. I'm like a what did you call it? A granny witch. So I like get the
Yeah.
saucepan and the wooden spoon and start
Yeah.
bashing it.
Yeah.
Um, I also think that it's very much about keeping your house positive as well. Like, because a lot of people talk about negative spiritual attachments and negative
Mhm.
spirits, but they forget that we are spirits. We're just trapped inside like a flesh suit.
True.
So the
Yeah.
energy that we bring into the house is what sticks to it.
Well, and I was brought up with the idea that you say hello to your house when you come home and you say
Oh
goodbye to
yeah.
your house when you leave.
Yeah, be kind to your house. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
how you are in your house, like, really affects how you're feeling and how I very
It's a
much believe that
bottle of
negative,
energy.
yeah, I
Mhm.
very much believe that negative spiritual attachments have a lot to do with yourself as well.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah. If you ask
Mhm.
me, it's 100% to do with yourself.
Mhm.
I believe that people can spiritually attack you, but I think that,
No one, and that's a whole nother podcast,
yeah, I
but I
believe,
believe no one can attack you unless you let them.
I know, don't give fear to it. That's like the
Mhm.
biggest mistake that you can make.
If I don't believe you have the power to do that, then you don't.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sorry if that makes you
That's
mad.
controversial, but I've never been spiritually
And
attacked.
you know what? And I never have been scared of being controversial because I'm not going to change who I am because people want to have Napoleon complexes. I'm just not going to do
Mhm.
that. I'm just not going to do that. I truly do believe that. But me, I'm have more so gotten into the quantum levels of things and it's like it really is my choice what happens.
Ooh,
It really is. And
yeah,
that's what, if you're cooking bread for your family, it's your choice. Are you cooking it all mad and tired
absolutely.
from the day? And you know what I mean? Or are you cooking it with love and kindness? And are you paying attention to detail? And are you
Mhm.
creating bread or are you just cooking bread?
Yeah, I mean, this is also where, like, I think kitchen witchcraft, it sort of overlaps into the mundane as well, because if you think about food in itself, it already has this, like, magical nostalgia attached to it. Like, I don't know, when you look at, like, the role that food plays in people's lives, like family
Mhm,
gatherings, parties, like if you're going on a date with someone, you're gonna eat, and it's all
mhm,
associated with food in the kitchen. And
mhm,
like I think that it can bring you like emotional healing, it can bring you
mhm.
childhood healing. Like, have you ever eaten something and been like, it has a memory attached to it, and you're like,
Oh,
oh, I just feel so good.
absolutely.
It just feels so good.
Mhm.
Yes, yes. And that's what I mean.
Magic.
It's magic that everybody can do.
Yes.
to make their lives better. And I tell you what, we can use all we can get nowadays
Mhm.
to make our lives better.
I also think that, like you said, using your ancestors like a recipe. You're looking at a
Oh,
recipe that's in their handwriting.
yes.
Oh
It's
yeah.
almost as if
Powerful.
you're cooking with them, you know? My
Yeah.
grandma, when she passed, I got all of her sewing things, and she has all of her sewing books, and I have her sewing machine, so I'm reading how to work her sewing machine through her, like, she's teaching me how to do it, and I think that that in itself is, like, her way of still being here in an energy form, you know? I mean, she is, I know she is, but, like, I can't physically see her, you know,
Mhm,
or talk to her, but
mhm.
that's her way, and I think that recipes passed down is like that too. I just think
It's
that's
like
so it
grimoires.
Yeah. And
yeah.
I think that if you can't get hold of a recipe that your ancestors have, there's like so many cookbooks which are like, okay, I have Norse ancestors. Okay, well I'm gonna get a old Viking cookbook.
Oh, yeah.
Or
Yeah,
I used to have a book, it was called Celtic Folklore Cooking. It was one of my favorite
yeah,
books ever.
yeah,
Um my ex-mother-in-law gifted it to me, and like doing stuff like that, I'm like, okay, now I feel connected to my ancestors. Or I
yeah.
like cook Cornish pasties and I don't know, go on TikTok and talk about pissy
Absolutely.
folklore while I'm cooking the pasty.
You should, because it's interesting. It is history,
Yeah.
and here's what you can do today. When clients come to me, wanting help with, I don't know what, they're new young little witches, and they don't know what path, because they get on TikTok and they're inundated with all the bells and whistles.
Uh,
The first thing we do is, what's your ancestry? What's your ancestry? Because that's going to be something organic for you.
yeah.
You can't help. Yeah, I mean, that's where you come from.
It just feels natural. That's why
Mhm.
I'm so drawn to be like
And
to
so
that.
many times you find that you practiced it all your life and you didn't even know, or
Mhm.
you didn't connect.
Mhm.
Yeah. Someone asked me for a spiritual bath, I'm just gonna go grab some basil, rub it all
I'm,
over
I'm
yourself.
going to want to take you to the crick. I'm going to want to take you to the crick. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's how I was, yeah.
I
Running
just like
water.
I just like get on the bus, go to the sea, jump. I'm like so lucky to be back in Cornwall. Don't I start
Mhm.
ranting about how grateful I am to be back in Cornwall.
See, I'm gonna jump in the car and get some windshield time, and then I'm gonna go put my feet in some grass.
Feet in some grass. Okay, yeah.
Gonna hug a
Mhm.
tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Putting your hands in the dirt too is another way to
Mhm.
ground and cleanse.
Yeah, I'm gonna say something controversial.
Do it. Do it. Do
When people say, I mean, I'd never say this to someone. When people say, "Oh, how can I cleanse myself? I don't know how to cleanse myself." Probably my first thought would be, "Have you been outside?"
Yeah. Like even today.
Yeah, have you been outside?
Yeah. Yeah.
You, you know, sometimes it's all it takes. Get some fresh air.
Yeah. Let the sun shine on you, or even the moon.
Mhm.
They're equally as powerful. People forget that. They're like, well, I'm not up during the day. So go outside. Let
It's
the
like
sun shine on you,
I love water cleansing. I love all
or the
things
moon.
water. But
Oh,
at the
yeah.
same time, when the fresh air hits your face, that's the same thing.
Yeah. 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 I do. I
Mm.
like water. I just was raised that way with the water cleansing due to religion mostly. But there's so many ways to cleanse yourself. And you get a better cleansing if you understand how to flush your energy.
Mhm.
If you understand that you connect to a circuit.
I feel like a hypocrite. Haven't been, haven't been outside in days because I've been having a flare up. I'm like,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like talking about telling people to go outside and get fresh air. I haven't been out my door in like, I don't know,
Yeah.
4 days.
Oh, girl, you better get outside tomorrow.
I know.
Tomorrow.
I'm
But
planning on
yeah,
going
you
Wednesday.
you become part of that natural circuit with the earth and the sun, and the trees are part of that. That's scientifically documented.
Mhm.
And that's, my brother and I think this last podcast I taped with him, I said to him, we need to understand we are part of the earth. And he says, well, I think most people know we all live on earth. I said, no, we need to understand we're part of the earth. That is, I live
Carbon
in a house. I drive a car. I live in a house. I wear clothes. I don't live on the earth. I am part of the earth.
Yeah, when you get into this practice, it becomes like so clear.
Interconnected. Yeah.
You like feel it all the time and you're like, oh man, you're just, I just like have so much more gratitude now for things that I really think that a lot of people take for granted.
Mhm.
So even when I'm not outside, I'm still thinking about outside because that's part of my practice. It
Yeah.
just makes me feel so much more, it makes me feel a lot more connected. Like when I go for a walk, I'm like, oh yeah, this is what this is, this is what this is. Oh look at that. And
But you're connected with, just like the animals.
yeah, I'm part of that.
That I am part of that. And that's why it's so hard, when we were talking about buying meat at the store. It's like, well, I am a meat eater. I am a meat eater. And I try to eat chickens that I process with respect. And I don't know. I don't know.
I always like to eat vegetables and fruits that I grow myself.
You know, I probably wouldn't eat as much meat as I do if Steve wasn't here. He's the
I
big meat and potatoes bugger.
I've had to cut out a lot of red meat
Yeah.
Me
because it's
too.
inflammatory.
Yep, I know all about that.
Yeah.
All about that. I don't eat steak very often, and when I do, I'm miserable for a few days, so I just don't eat it
Yeah, it
anymore.
doesn't digest very good. I
Mm-mm.
even am, yeah, I just don't. I'll cook a chicken thigh or a chicken breast. I don't want to eat the red meat so much anymore either.
Yeah,
And
if
I've
I
been told as we ascend, we'll quit eating meat. These people that are vegetarians, you'll get there. I kind of
Interesting.
see it. I kind of see it. Now, I don't know that I would ever be as. Now, notice I said vegetarian, not a vegan.
Milk products, dairy,
Eggs.
byproducts of the animal. Yeah.
don't know, I don't think I could quit eating chicken
I do love me a chicken.
or fish.
Listen, it took me years to perfect grandma's chicken, but I did it.
Did you know? I
Did.
I just learned this. Some chickens or whatever hens that their meat can be different colors
Oh yeah, I had
based
chickens that
on a
had black meat and black bones.
yeah, yeah, okay, so that's a zombie chicken. That's what they call
No,
it.
no, the mine they you are right, there is that. But mine were oh, what are the ones that look like poodles? Um
Oh, the fluffy butt ones.
yeah, what is, I can't even remember the name of them.
Showgirls, I don't remember. They call them a
No,
couple
well
different
that's a
things.
whole nother one. That's not these either.
Black meat though.
Yeah, yeah, it's nasty and it's gamey tasting.
Yeah. I
And I
didn't know that all chickens weren't created equal.
I
That's new
canned
to
it up
me.
for the dogs. Canned it up for the dog. All right, Lauren, we're getting close to the end. Leave our listeners, no matter if they are just someone who's just curious to an old crone like me, what's a basic thing they can do in their house on a daily basis, put on the stove or in the crock pot or whatever to just bless their house and family and everything?
Okay. Um, can I give a cheesy simmer pot recipe?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Because I don't care how cheesy it is, it's legit.
It's simple. It's I'm
And
just like
everybody,
thinking of something
yes,
that everyone could do.
yes.
So as a simmer pot, essentially, you get all of your ingredients that you want to use. A pot of simmering water on the stove, and you let that water simmer, and then everything, like all of everything, sort of evaporates into the air and spreads around your home. So, let me think.
Can you use a crock pot?
You can use a crock pot if it boils water. Um, so I'd say a very simple recipe.
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to think of one that I do pretty often. Sea salt, rosemary, lemon, and cinnamon sticks.
Yeah,
That's gonna cleanse and purify your home. It's gonna help you bring in mental clarity. The
right,
cinnamon's gonna help to promote wellness.
right.
I'm
If
gonna
your
go do that
family's
right now.
sick, if my family's sick, I'll throw sage in there
Yeah.
Mhm.
and I'll burn it too.
Yep.
Mm.
If we've all got those colds, you know how the whole family gets sick. Yeah, I'll do that.
Also, another thing that I do quite often, and this may seem a bit trivial, is if you have eggshells or you're someone who
Yes.
eats a lot of eggs, I don't throw my eggshells away because, and the same with onion skins, because Cornwall's a pretty green county. We all
Mhm.
do food recycling here.
Yeah.
Instead of putting them in the food recycling bin, I'll clean them out, put them on my windowsill, wait for them to
Mhm.
dry, and then when they're all completely dry, I'll put them in the oven for like at a very low temperature for like an hour,
Mhm.
chuck them in my mortar and pestle,
Mhm.
grind
Grind
them,
them up.
and then yeah, you can use those for protection, you can use those for warding, you can use that for you can feed your
Yeah.
plants with it.
You can feed your chickens it also.
Yeah.
It's very
Yeah,
good for them.
really good
I
calcium.
I I have onion skins right here.
Yeah, you can burn them. You can burn them to
Well, I
cleanse
use
your health.
them to boost to it just add, it's just one of those, just another thing to
They make
make
me cry.
If
your
you have
working
if you have cinnamon sticks, you can also burn those as well. A lot of
I
people don't know
know.
you can burn
Yes.
Mhm.
I have
cinnamon.
done that. I have done that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Lauren. It has been an absolute pleasure talking to you today.
It really has.
Sorry if
It
I've kept,
really.
but I swear I have a lot more that I wanted to add, but I kept stumbling. It's my
Well,
first time.
we can have you on again sometime.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
This
Awesome.
doesn't have to be a one and done.
Did I do okay?
You did
Fabulous.
fine.
Thank you.
Say bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.